So we've talked about Beyond Meat a couple times on the channel, and this meat substitute, uh, green alternative to actual nutrient dense food that actually helps you live and heal and all that stuff. But anyway, there was some very unmitigated good news that I thought I would jump on here and share, and also a couple very interesting things that I found just by looking into this. But this comes from What's Up with That, and that's it's the world's most viewed site on global warming and climate change. Says green flagship Beyond Meat shares plunge after debt restructure. Bill Gates' Beyond Meat, promoted as a climate-friendly alternative to real meat, is struggling with consumer backlash against processed foods. Beyond Meat stocks collapses after debt deal. Shares of El Segundo-based Beyond Meat fell to less than $1 after a debt deal, down from their 2019 peak of nearly $2.35 a share. The plant-based meat maker has seen sales plunge from $465 million in 21 to $326 million last year as consumers return to animal protein. I'd be very curious to see how much of that $326 million is like government-sponsored programs. Second quarter sales dropped 20%, part of a broader 18% decline across the U.S. plant-based meat industry over the last 2 years. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Beyond Meat is toast. What does it cost a company when it's no longer in the zeitgeist? For stockholders in Beyond Meat, perhaps as much as 99% of their money if they bought it at the top of the market. Shares of El Segundo, maker of plant-based meats, an investor's darling a few years ago, collapsed this week to less than $1 after the company wrapped up a deal to reduce its debt burden. The deal involved issuing up to 326 million new shares to the note holders. The stock diluting deal was spurred by declining sales at the company, which makes pea-based foods that mimic the taste of beef, chicken, and pork. So this is really awesome news. But one thing was very interesting. I got to thinking about this, and we talk a lot about the stock market and how it's a wealth transfer. If you haven't heard my most recent interview with Richard Canfield, check that out. I think that was we just reposted that yesterday. But it just got me thinking, and I was like, I wonder how many public pension funds hold Beyond Meat. So I just did a really quick search, and there was a lot of really interesting things that popped up here. Institutional ownership, about 52.5% of the company's shares are held by institutional investors. And here's a shocker. Among the list of institutional investors, the major owners include Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. So Vanguard holds about 4.2 million shares. Smaller institution holdings, Geode Capital, some different venture capital firms. But what I thought was really interesting is pension funds that report holding Beyond Meat. New York State Common Retirement Fund holds 15,800 shares. The State Board of Administration of the Florida Retirement System holds almost 17,000 shares. And the Public Employees Retirement Association of Colorado holds about 13,000 shares. So this is how, and so just think about this. If you had one of these pensions and it held these shares, and let's say they bought in at the peak at the 235 point, I don't even have to do the math for you, but I mean, that is substantial losses. And as long as you continue to play in the stock market, there's a saying, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And it's exactly like having retirement accounts or having pension accounts that are held and controlled by others and that are held by Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. You know, we can't complain about these monolithic mega corporations gobbling up private real estate and driving up home prices if we're going to willingly give them our hard-earned cash and allow them to just slurp up all this stuff. And then they create these false tops and false bottoms, and they always win and the public always loses, and the stock market is a total scam. And this is a great example of that somehow magically this P-based juggernaut was somehow evaluated and worth $235 a share. Now it's worth $1 a share. And even in a collapsing type of market where sales are down, there's no mathematical equation that you could come up with that could demonstrate how at one point in time the stock was worth $235 a share and now it's just worth $1. So that's all part of how the wealth redistribution system works. And it's all about taking the average middle class person that's just trying to compete with inflation and compete with the government and pay their taxes and do all the stuff they're supposed to do. And the reason that they don't have any money is because they're taxed to death, and the little bit of money that they do scrounge up and save through these tax deferred accounts, because if the government, you know, gives you this carrot or this little shiny, flashy tax deduction, you're going to take advantage of that. And when you take advantage of that, you lose all your money. So I definitely wouldn't recommend that. But I did see this as very great news. Beyond Meat is dead. I don't see any way that they're going to resuscitate this thing. And hopefully as people wake up and see through the propaganda, these other fake green companies and these fake healthy alternatives of highly processed foods will also fall by the wayside. Just don't get duped into investing into these. Well, just don't get duped into investing in the stock market, period, because it's a total Ponzi scheme. It's a scam. It's a wealth transfer. And do a little more reading, a little more homework, a little more research. Take control of your financial future. And there's lots of different ways to do that. And comment down below if you have any great ideas, or also, you know, if you want more information, you can always feel free to email us at TheTexasBoys.com. But I just want to jump on here real quick and share the great news about Beyond Meat just died. And unfortunately, there's some people that want to retire, or some people that are retired, and they just took a massive hit to their pension plan. But that's what happens when you outsource your saving strategy and your investment strategy. And that's also what happens when you take the shiny orange carrot that the government's going to dangle out at you for a tax break, because everything has strings. You know, if you're a federal employee, or if you work for some institutionalized whatever, you know, history has taught us in the last 5 years that all of these things have strings with them, including Social Security. You know, I have no delusion that I'll ever retire. I have no plan on retiring. Retirement is a Weimar Republic scheme concocted during World War II to transfer money from the people to the state. And they intentionally designed it to pay out after people statistically were dead. And it was just another wealth transfer scheme by a government. And a bunch of people in America just thought it was a great idea because they figured out that they could transfer your wealth to their pocket. And so they started pumping this scheme, and they gave you a shiny little flashy tax deduction as the con to get you to give them your money, and, this is what happens, and, so I wouldn't buy into that, and, but yeah, this is still great news, and, I hope y'all are having a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.